What's good, everybody? Welcome to Frontrunner Podcast Collective. FRPC is where we talk like friends, argue like cousins, and still walk out smarter than we came. I am your host, Vince, your occasional hoot therapist, your favorite bad influence, and when it comes to completely reckless NBA overactions that low-key make sense, I'm your guy. So, twice a week, we are here to set the table. Big, clear it. This is what I think, breakdowns, film room style, observations, and grown conversations about how players, coaches, and front offices are really moving. We are here to unpack everything. The wins, the mess, the contracts, the agendas, the rumors with actual receipts behind them. And all of it with jokes, stats, reporting, and the angles you can take straight to your group chat and dare somebody to argue with. If you're an NBA sicko who wants more than highlight talk, if you want context with the numbers and a point of view, this is your spot. Welcome to FRPC. So, we're here today because it is a couple days before Thanksgiving. We have a lot on the docket to get to. The one thing that I do want to press upon people, we will continue to have a Friday show. We are not missing Friday for Thanksgiving. Now, my prep is going to be different. And what I mean by that is that if you haven't heard, your boy cooks. So I'm in charge of the turkey. I am in charge of the dressing. I am in charge of the homemade macaroni and cheese. I am in charge of everything that goes down in the kitchen. So my prep work will be late night, if you know what I mean. There'll be some NBA after dark type situations going on in my household, which is cool with me, because you know I love this stuff. I'm a sicko, just like you are. So we will get a Friday show in. Now, what I also want to talk about today is all the things we are going to talk about, which we're going to start off in the northern area of North America. We are going to go to Toronto. We're going to talk about what's going on with the Raptors. They're in first place. I can't believe it. I'm a little bit stupefied by what's going on here. So we're going to do that. We're also going to talk about the Sacramento Kings and the decision that they have come to find out for themselves, in the epiphany that their general manager or executive of player personnel, Mr. Perry, has come to. So we're going to talk about that as well. We're also going to talk about the Ja Morant, Klay Thompson situation. That was awesome. And then we're going to end it off with some NBA things to be thankful for. So we're going to talk about some teams at the top of the heap, and then we're also going to talk about some teams at the bottom and what they have to look forward to and what they should be given thanks for. So do we have a really packed show, really good podcast for you, and I'm excited about that. A couple other things to clean up. One, everyone, I continue to tell you this. Be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast. Our numbers are doing very well. I am so impressed with the amount of word of mouth that we've gotten out there. And if you are part of the FRPC army, hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on X at FrontRunner PC for myself, and also socially _FRPC. That's our group Twitter account that a lot of people hit up on. Engage us. We will try to engage you more. We are trying to be better about our social media imprint. I am working hard on that. I even did some live tweeting of some games last week. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you are following me on Twitter, please go ahead and I will pick a game and I will watch it. And as I'm watching it, I'm giving you my thoughts and, some of the statistics that come in and what it all means to me. So if you kind of want to see what I'm thinking about before I even start the podcast, before I even make the mic hot, that's the way to do it. I probably will be live tweeting sometime. This week will be hard because of Thanksgiving. I'm not going to lie to you. I watch a lot of football. But I definitely will get my basketball in. And my live tweet tonight, actually. There's a Laker game on, so I'm going to be watching that. Got to be watching my boys get it in. So keep on getting with us on social media. The other thing is this, again, we are having like countries that are coming out the woodwork for us. We are grateful for our new people that are coming in, and we are grateful for our day ones. Thank you very much for being with us today and throughout the year. And we just don't do regular season, postseason basketball. We go straight through. So we go through the free agency. We go through the summertime. We kind of allow the free agency to happen, and then we will go ahead and assess what goes on. So you got us 365 days of the year, basically, in the sense of podcast twice a week. And we try to make sure that it's always hot and it's always spicy for you. So let's get into this podcast, shall we? And we are going to start at the 6. We're going to start at Toronto. And you look at the Toronto Raptors, and they're sitting right now at 13-5. They're second in the East. They're 6th in offense, they're 6th in defense, and they're 5th in their net rating at a plus 6.9. They're scoring 120 a night, and they're giving up 113. And the spreadsheet people will tell you this looks like a lot more than a real team than a cute start. And the funny part is that every big piece that's driving this ascension to the top of the Eastern Conference is Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and Jakob Poeltl. Those are Masai Ujiri decisions. Those decisions lie with Masai Ujiri, who is now gone. Those are the gambles that were getting questioned a year ago. Ownership just fired Masai Ujiri this offseason while his work is sitting at 13-5 with an elite profile. Now, Bobby Webster, who took over for Masai Ujiri, is now in charge. And, I don't live in Toronto, so if somebody wants to break me off, a DM or hit me up on Twitter to let me know some of the things, maybe they were tired of Masai Ujiri, maybe they thought that he had ran his course, but to see all these moves pay off, and remember, we didn't get to see Brandon Ingram in a Raptors uniform last year. When he got traded, he was hurt, so we didn't see him for the rest of the year. And now that you see this team all put together with Scotty Barnes and the rest of the crew, and they're 13-5, it seems like the decisions that were made with this in mind. On the floor, receipts are loud. The most used starting lineup in the league has already logged over 160 minutes together, and they're outscoring teams by 5 points per 100 possessions. They're putting up an offensive rating north of 121 with an assist rate around 68%. That's not just vibes. That's functioning offense built around mid-range killer who supposedly stops the ball. You saw it against Cleveland. The machine was ugly. The team hit 5 threes all night, and Brandon Ingram still walked off with 37 points on 30 shots. Now, after the game, he said, whatever the team needs on a nightly basis, I am willing to do. That is your high usage wing coming off an ankle layoff, casually soaking up the old school shot diet so Scotty Barnes can fly around and putting up 18 and 11 and 6 on absurd efficiency. Meanwhile, the identity stuff is real. They play fast, but they don't play sloppy. They're top 10 at forcing turnovers, and they're top 10 at limiting their own giveaways. The best assist to turnover ratio in the league goes to your Toronto Raptors. And nobody is getting out in transition like they are. They're 5-1 against teams that are under 400, meaning they're just beating teams that they're supposed to beat, which is exactly what an actual good team is supposed to do, right? You're supposed to beat the teams to hell that are inferior to you and your talent. But the cracks are in the math. The opponents are shooting 32% from 3, one of the lowest ranks in the league, while the Raptors are hitting almost 39% on relatively low volume. They're below average on the glass, or with or without Jakob Poeltl, and they haven't touched the West Coast as of yet. They played 2 games against the top 6 records in the league, and they've got handled in both. So I don't want to get over my skis when I talk about the Raptors, and I definitely want to give them kudos for what they've done. But we also have to keep in mind that the resume is still flawed. So tonight, this isn't about the Raptors for real. It's about what Masai built this version of the Raptors to be. And Bobby Webster and this group have an elite net rating, a clear identity, a mid-range star, and a rising to do everything forward, and some real statistical red flags that we're about to unpack right now. Are we looking at a foundation of the next real contender in Toronto, or extremely well-built 50-win Mirage that will be going to force Bobby to make hard decisions that Masai never did? So again, Masai's gone. Ingram, Quickley, Barrett, and Poeltl are his people. Those are the people that he brought in. Those are the people that Bobby Webster are, in a sense, inherited. Ownership moved on from Masai after those moves began bearing fruit. Obviously, 13-5, second in the East, was a 6.9 net rating, which is pretty good. Scotty Barnes, 24 years old, true shooting percentage, .589. His box plus minus is a positive 4.6. He has a win share of 48 of .168, which is early franchise cornerstone case. Obviously, this is the dude that you're trying to build around. Brandon Ingram is 28. Now, when he first got brought over, I was wondering how this was going to work. And I always, you know me, I'm always going to ask and champion the young guy's cause, right? How does this affect Grady Dick, and how does this affect, the younger players that they have? Turns out he was probably the steadying influence that the Toronto Raptors need. His true shooting percentage is 58.5%. His usage is 27.1. Is it high usage mid-range hub? Yeah. Is he a potential number 2 option? Yeah. And the best part about this is that when Brandon Ingram was in New Orleans, and we talked about this last season, there was a thought, or just rumblings within inside the locker room and around that building, that Brandon Ingram wasn't excited about his role on the team. And what I mean by that is that he was not seen as the number 1. Zion, who is institutionally out of the lineup for pretty much half the time, was always seen as the number 1, whether he was there or not. Brandon Ingram could not get that role from him. It was an absolute stranglehold by Zion, and he was frustrated with just some of the things that were going on there. When you go to Toronto and it's a new team, even though Scotty Barnes is 4 years your junior, you understand that this is Scotty Barnes' team. He's entrenched there. So you have to fall back into that second role, which I think that Brandon Ingram was ready to go ahead and embrace that role now. And I think that's one of those situations where you sit there and you go, hey, I'm on my third team. I started with the Lakers. I was caught up in the LeBron nonsense. I go to New Orleans thinking that I'm going to get a fresh start. Here comes Zion. I'm thinking him and I become this like 1-2 duo. This Batman and Robin. It never comes to fruition. I'm always politicking or asking for a significant role inside the offense with the New Orleans Pelicans. Willie Green, who's now fired, make sure that I'm relegated to like the second man. And now he's in Toronto. So I think personally this is one of those situations that he is falling into the role that he was always meant to have. That leads us to Emmanuel Quickley. Why do I want to call him Isaiah? Emmanuel Quickley, 26, true shooting percentage, 58.9. Heavy 3-point attempts. His assist percentage is 25.7. He has an offensive box plus minus of 1.5. This is a profile of a starting guard. Now, he might not be your table setter that you're used to, your traditional guy that sits there and gets you 9 assists a game and things of that nature. But what he's doing is he's providing the spear. He's the tip of the spear on the defensive end. Highly active there. And then also he's providing a spark on the offensive end with decent efficiency for somebody of Emmanuel Quickley's ilk. RJ Barrett is kind of the one guy that we have waited for. Now, he is a Canadian, which also gives him a little more leeway and grace that maybe we are not accustomed to. He did not get it in New York City, which, if you look at the numbers, they bear out. He shoots over 50%. His effective field goal percentage is 57.2. His true shooting percentage, this is where the key has come in. He is over 60%. He's 60.4, and he has a usage rate of 24, which is great. This is where RJ Barrett needs to be. This is the most efficient version of RJ Barrett that we've ever seen. Bobby's leverage to the hot start is to lock in the team-friendly deals or quietly gauge trade market peak value. And here's the thing. I've heard that RJ Barrett is on the market, and I'll tell you why. His defense. Now, RJ Barrett might be a lot of things. This efficiency spike that he's had this year is not common. So you're looking at a situation where if you are looking to move him, this might be the best way to do it because we are striking when the irons are hot. If Webster is going to go ahead and do that, who's the chip? Who's the untouchable? Who's primed to do what we actually want to be tied to when Barnes hits his peak? And we talked about their lineup and all of their situations as far as their numbers are concerned. Here's another number for you. That the lineup that we spoke of that has done 166 minutes with a +5 per 100 and an offensive rating of 121.5 also has an assist percentage of 67.9%. That's elite ball movement despite the high usage wing scorer in Ingram. What goes on there is that, again, when they need him to do more, whether it's efficiency or not, he can do it. He did it against Cleveland. 37 points on 30 shots. Crazy. Teammates were 5 of 25 from 3. So he went to work. Poeltl, on the other hand, he is shooting 73.8% from the field. Now, obviously, his buckets are coming from within 3 feet of the basket. His true shooting percentage right now is .721. His win share per 48 is .197. This is ultra efficient finisher, screen and roll guy that you will want from your big. And basically, you know what you got in your bench and you know what you got in your starters, which is awesome. Do we think this is real? Well, unfortunately, I got to look at this and go, well, who have you played? Who have you played? Oh, you beat up on the teams that were a lottery bound? Well, that's great, right? You need to get some confidence before you start playing these teams. This is kind of like the, if you want to look at it as like a college football reference, this is kind of like the SEC teams that play the directional schools, and then they go ahead and play their conference schedule. And, or like a Big Ten team that schedules like a Central Michigan or Toledo. No offense to Toledo or Central Michigan, but y'all know who you are. And if you're playing Ohio State, you're probably going to get smashed, right? What makes this team, or what makes us think that this team is doing things in a way where it will continue to invoke winning? Well, we talked about the assist percentages or what have you. The locker room vibe, players talk about the right way habits more than individual numbers or contract years. Barnes' leap in the lane becomes the loudest voice. He's the defensive quarterback, cementing this is my team without saying it. And obviously with the more efficient Quickley, you're seeing just better ball movement, and also what you're seeing in this new system by the coach that's been there a couple years is that you're seeing just a more efficient offense, and you're seeing better shots being taken by the Toronto Raptors. You know, the macro profile is the offensive rating at 119.6. We talked about that. We talked about their net rating, what have you. This is the other thing that we kind of need to get to. And we brought it up in the beginning, but I want to drive this home. Opponents are shooting 32.3% from 3, which is third worst opponent percentage. Is it likely part of the scheme, or is it variance? And what I mean by that is that sometimes your 3-point shooting or your opponent's 3-point shooting is more luck than it is your scheme. We can look at the Thunder. We can look at a couple other teams, and we know that's not luck. We know that their ability to run people off the 3-point line is real, is legitimate, because we got a lot of wings that get out from the paint and are able to quickly get back in and continue to clog up the paint and not allow people to get just runway to the basket. But with Toronto, we still need more of a sample size. And we also would like to see it on better competition as well. Because again, the two games they played with versus the top 6 records, they were both decisive losses. So, I mean, these are things that we're going to have to see as the year plays out. But are you excited about the 13-5 in the top 6 offense and defense? Is this something that you think is institutional? Or is this something that, we're just doing this, and then as we get better competition, are these numbers going to start to fall off as well as our record? Well, you come to the right place if you're thinking that I'm going to give you the answer or whatever the case may be, because I'm going to try to do that for you. What we'd like to see next here at FRPC. So let's put it all together. On paper, this is the best version of the Raptors we've seen since the title afterglow faded. 13-5, second in the East. We talked about their net rating. It's crazy. Now, that's contendership adjacent. Not playing noise, right? Because here's the thing. There's enough bad teams for Toronto to beat up on for them to get to the playoffs. The improvement is coming from the real basketball thing. Starting 5 is no longer dragging you into the early holes that they were, because here's the thing. They are able to get good quality shots when needed, and also having Brandon Ingram as a stopper. And what I mean by that is that if the other team, the opponent, is on a run, it is very hard for you to stop Brandon Ingram to get to his spot and then be able to get a comfortable shot up for him. He is a tough shot taker, and he's also a tough shot maker, and he's going to do a lot of his damage in that mid-range. And it's probably going to be contested, which is great because he's got this like crazy wingspan, and they say he's 6'8". I think he's probably a little bit taller than that. And I think he has like a 7'5" wingspan, which is crazy long. Which invokes the 121 plus offensive rating that they have and the sky high assist rate. Now, as we continue to move along, is this going to be the score they haven't had since Kawhi Leonard, where he was hitting over 50% from 10 feet to the arc? Or is these numbers going to come down to normal as we get into better competition that they have not faced as of yet? Well, it all depends on your ancillary talent. So, if Quickley's numbers are screaming real starting point guard, and RJ is giving you the most grown-up, efficient season that he's shown in his entire career before the knee tweak, then the identity is sharp. They force turnovers. They value the basketball. They share it at a level that usually you only see in veteran groups, and they live in transition without playing dumb. Those are the kind of habits that tend to survive when the schedule gets nasty and the shooting cools off. If Scotty Barnes is going to be able to live in the passing lanes, if Emmanuel Quickley is going to be the tip of the spear when it comes to your defensive going after guards and things of that nature, and you're going to have enough athletic ability to stay in front of your man, then we're going to have a good looking team for quite some time. Do I think this team is going to end up second in the East? No, I do not. Do I think this team can end up within the top 6, meaning that they are not a playing team? Yes, I do. I think if you keep these habits up with the defense, you allow Brandon Ingram to be Brandon Ingram, which they did not want him to be in New Orleans. They wanted him to expand his shot diet and shoot more threes. Now, I will tell you, I am a proponent of that situation. But Brandon Ingram wants to live here. He wants to live in this mid-range. He wants to take these tough shots. It's all well and good until they stop going in. And that was the problem in New Orleans. Now, did he have the type of talent around him in New Orleans that he does in Toronto? On paper, he did. But were they available to be on the court? That was another question. These guys are playing. So he's getting to work with these guys consistently. He knows where they are on the court. They know where he's going to be on the court. And this is what it's going to look like. So for what Brandon Ingram is able to do, this is good. And this could work. But the receipts on the other side matter just as much. The opponents are stuck around 32% from 3. And that never holds in an 82-game season. The Raptors' own 3-point percentage is inflated by low volume. And here's the thing. They're going to need Grady Dick. They're going to need Emmanuel Quickley to start hitting more threes, or at least increase their 3-point attempts. The rebounding is below average across the board. And when Poeltl and Barnes sit, the glass gets scary in a hurry. Well, we'll see what our guy Bobby Webster does. Again, they're 5-1 against bad teams. They're 0-2 against good teams. And the West Road Gauntlet doesn't even start until that Laker game on January 18th. So we are still more than a month away than when the true test really begins. So where does this leave us? for me, this looks like a legitimate 50-win team, a hard out with a chance to be more. If three things happen: one, Scotty Barnes keeps leveling up into a unquestioned two-way engine of the team, meaning he keeps his defensive intensity and also still continues to value the basketball. The other thing that I'm looking for is at least one of Quickley or RJ Barrett becomes a consistent closing option that can punish the playoff defenses. 3, Bobby Webster either fixes the rebounding problem with a smart in-season move or doubles down on the internal answers like Sanjo Mamaskilishvili or Colin Murray Boyles. And my pick to click is Colin Murray Boyles. Okay, he is a absolute bowling ball with knives on his body, and I think that's the guy that they have to unleash a little bit. Now, if Grady Dick also can shoot better and shoot more threes and get open looks, this team will hang around. Now, are those a lot of ifs? Yes, they are. Do we have a lot of data that points out that this can happen? Well, we don't, because we've never seen it from any of these guys. Scotty Barnes is the most like, okay, we've seen it from him, right? He's the guy mostly we can say we've seen it from. Even Brandon Ingram, who has never played more than like 64 games, we're going to need to see what he's doing now throughout the rest of the year for us to really believe in what's going on. The 13-5 start helps. There are real statistical red flags. If this team is still a top 8 team in net rating group after the West Coast trip, and the shooting luck has cooled off, when I'm ready to call them a real threat with my chest. If those cracks widen, and the story of this season becomes whether Bobby is willing to make a hard, non-sentimental decision like Masai waited too long to make, then we're going to be in the same boat that we were in last year. It's like, one of the things I said last year, or last season, I should say, it wasn't last year, it was last season, was that this was the most expensive, like, team that is going to just continue to make the play-ins I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And you would go, well, that's not good. Well, you're right, it's not. We need something better. The good thing about this is that they do have pieces that if they need to start loading off. Now, here's the rub. Who is going to take, I'm not saying it's going to be Brandon Ingram, but who's going to take RJ Barrett off your hands at his dollar amount? Who's going to take Emmanuel Quickley off your hands at his dollar amount? Because you paid them for the production they're putting up right now. Now, we've not seen this in Emmanuel Quickley or RJ Barrett over the last 2 years, hence why they were in the lottery last year. So, if this is what it's supposed to be and really what locked it in was Brandon Ingram's mid-range game and able to also understand his role as a number 2 option and then allowing Scotty Barnes to be who he is, then great. Then everybody kind of falls into their slot. Everybody kind of falls into their role, and everybody can get comfortable in that role, and they just can continue to cement and stack up days of consistency. If not, if Brandon Ingram is the guy who we saw in New Orleans, where he's playing against better teams and whatever the case may be, then what's going to happen is that the good shooting percentages that we see right now are going to plummet. And when they do plummet, then we're going to find out what kind of team this is. Because the defense can carry. Now, if you don't get the rebounds and we got a lot of second chance opportunities by the opposition, then we're in real trouble here. I hope and I think that Colin Murray Boyles is one of those dudes that as he continues to play through his rookie season, he's going to garner more and more minutes, and also he's going to garner more and more confidence. And if he can get that in and become kind of like a a less shooting version of Scotty Barnes and just create havoc on the defensive end and grab rebounds for you, you're going to be in a good spot. I like the kid. I think he's really good. I just don't know when it's going to click for him. And does Bobby Marks take one of their pieces and he turn it into like two pieces? Is there any way that he can skim some of this salary that is exorbitant amount of money? The time will be able to be told. We don't know. But I hope for Toronto's sake that what we're seeing, that this version of the Raptors that we're seeing, the numbers, the quotes, the feels, you can believe in the core. And you can believe that they're a future contender. But my whole thing is this, is that if for some reason you start to see this go south, be flexible. Be flexible like your ex-executive player personnel wasn't. Because he kept on doubling down. He was like, well, I believe in Jakob Poeltl. Well, I'm going to double down and I'm going to get RJ Barrett and I'm going to get Emmanuel Quickley. Okay, this isn't working. So I'm going to go get Brandon Ingram and pay him a contract with sight unseen. These were reckless moves. Now, right now it's paying off. But as soon as the slippage comes, Toronto must pivot. They got to stay flexible. Because here's the thing. Here's what you don't want to become. And we're going to move on to that team that you don't want to become. But we got some good news for them too. You could be the Sacramento Kings. Do you want to be the Sacramento Kings of Canada? No, you don't. I'm going to speak freely a little bit about Sacramento. I have some people in my life that are full-on Sacramento King sickos. These are real light the beam disciples. These are people who still bring up 2002 Western Conference Finals and what happened. For a minute, it looked like they finally had their payoff in De'Aaron Fox, ending a 16-year drought. Remember the trade from Tyrese Halliburton to Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis is out here spraying dribble handoffs, and the building is feeling alive again. Light the beam became a thing. The purple little beam was in the sky. People loved it. It was let's hit the easy the easy button, the Staples easy button, or whatever the case may be. I know it wasn't that. I'm being facetious, but you know what I'm talking about. The vibes were real. Everybody was happy, and we were making the playoffs in California state capital. Now, we fast forward like 2.5 years later. Fox is gone. He is now in San Antonio. The roster has been gutted in a 3-team deal where Zach LaVine is now here. Mike Brown, who I don't know if he was scapegoat, I don't know what it was, but he's gone, and Doug Christie is in his place. Now, I don't have anything against Doug Christie. He was former Laker. Now, he played for the Sacramento Kings for a lot longer than he was a Laker, as far as that's concerned. But he seems to be a tough guy, a no-nonsense guy, and accountability seems to be a overriding talking point by one Doug Christie. But when you have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan in the building, and you look like Chicago West, I got questions. Into that mess walks in Scott Perry, first year GM, getting on the phone and saying the quiet part out loud. He tells you this season is about evaluation and about identity, about building a sustainable winner. He uses the word sustainable 9 times in one interview. He talks about autonomy from Vivek, about having authority to make necessary decisions. He tells the fans straight up, Ron wasn't built in a day, so buckle up and be patient for the ride. This is the kind of rhetoric we need out in Sacramento. Okay? And if you're a Kings fan, that hits a nerve, because the last time you heard Patience, you were being asked to explain away the Tyrese Halliburton Domantas Sabonis trade. To believe that a Fox Sabonis axis was the pathway to relevance, and how Halliburton is a full-blown star somewhere else and Fox is gone now, and the only remaining piece of that puzzle is Domantas Sabonis, who is also right now currently hurt with a partial torn meniscus. He's a tough bastard though, so I don't know how long he's going to be out, but you want him full healthy when he does come back. Now Sacramento right now is 5-13. They're the reverse axis of what the Toronto Raptors are. That's why I told Toronto, be very careful about what you do in the next 3 months. Be very careful. If you start to see decline, if you start to see this thing go downhill, the rock is coming down the hill onto your village, you need to pivot, and pivot quickly, because you do not want to be this. Now, with that being said, let's get back to Sacramento. They are the 27th ranked offense, and they are the 26th ranked defense. Whew. You live through fake resets and half measures. You've seen legal pads full of "we're changing the culture" quotes go nowhere. My hope for the Kings fans in my life, and the 2002 truthers that are still out there, is that this is a version of honesty from Scott Perry that actually gives the franchise permission to stop chasing the next cute story and finally commit to a real multi-year build. Hold on to the young and the solid pieces, and use the draft and your picks to make shrewd trades on vets like LaVine, like DeMar DeRozan. And if you can get out from underneath the Domantas Sabonis situation, you need to do that. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. I love Domantas Sabonis. I think he is what basketball should be. This dude works hard as shit all the time. I love him. His work ethic is great. His toughness is great. But here's the problem. If he is your starting center, he provides no rim protection whatsoever. If he is your starting center and you don't have a bunch of shooters, a bunch of them, then he's relegated to ineffective or effective enough to get you into play-in range and play-in range only. That is my point in this situation. Now, Monk, when his value is right, in other words, stop living on old conspiracies and light the beam nostalgia and embrace the ugly, the necessary parts of building something that can actually last. Tonight isn't a question about, are the Kings bad? We know they're bad. The 5-13 record tells us this. Their negative 11.1 net rating tells us this. Their bottom 5 offense and defense tells you all of what you need to know. The real question is, does Scott Perry actually have the room? Because you know Vivek is one of those dudes that loves to stick his nose into situations and start muddying up the waters. The plan, the pieces to turn this into a sustainable winner are, is this just another Kings regime that's asking you to be patient while we go ahead and just be on that hamster wheel, of just redundancy that you guys have been on for such a long time? So let's get to all of this real quick. Fox forced his way out to San Antonio. Part of that reason was because Mike Brown got fired. And he didn't want to be the guy who got Mike Brown fired. And I'm not saying he did or he did not. That's for you, for scholars, Sacramento scholars, to go ahead and ruminate about for eons. Now, he's in San Antonio. Your return for this was in some sort of 3-team trade menage a trois that shouldn't have ever happened, was Zach LaVine. And you go, well, Zach LaVine is, he's okay. I tell you what, the Chicago Bulls look a lot better without him. What does that tell you? Paris North Star repeatable says sustainable winning, not perennial playoff team. In his first big interview, he explicitly claims autonomy from the ownership. He says he has full authority to make necessary decisions, no lip service. Now you have Sabonis with $94 million over the next 2 years. You got Zach LaVine with a huge player option for $48.9 million, and he's going to pick that up. And you got DeMar DeRozan, who's 36 years old. He has a partial guaranteed contract for next season, which is approximately $10 million of the $25.7 million that he signed for. Now, you also have Malik Monk, who is a diminutive six-man, who is making $41.7 million over the next 2 seasons, including a 2027-2028 player option, meaning that if he wants to pick that up, guess what happens? So, these are the pieces that you have in your coffers to trade. These are the pieces in your cauldron of trade alchemy that you have available to you. All right? Now, market reality. Those vet deals are movable, but it's tricky. How much can you get back? That's the question of the day. Now, if you are looking at this and you're a Sacramento Kings fan, I want you to understand 2 things. We're not getting lottery picks back, dog. Okay? Not for Zach LaVine. Because here's the thing with Zach LaVine, and I love UCLA. Hey, listen, if you've been with me for a long period of time, I'm 8 clap all day, 4's up, all of that. Bruin Nation, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Mick Cronin got the boys playing well. They 5-1. We about to go to a tournament up near Sacramento way anyway, and we about to dominate up there. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay? We'll see how it goes. But Zach LaVine has never truly understood who he was and what he was as a basketball player. And what I mean by that is that he's not a number 1. I don't necessarily think he's a number 2. I think he's better off as a number 3. And a number 3 that gets a little less shots, a little less opportunity. He has to understand that he needs to share the sugar. Coming off that ball, stop pounding that ball for 22 seconds looking for whatever angle he is trying to get to the basket or some sort of 32-foot long distance 3-point shot. Now, DeMar DeRozan, I love to death. You know why? Not because he goes to USC, but I love the heart. I love what he's done. He's been a basketball chameleon his whole entire career in the NBA. And what I mean by that is that he's always been a mid-range guy or whatever. But when he's needed to be a playmaker, when he was in San Antonio and also in Chicago, he was that. When he needs to get you a bucket, and go off, go crazy and get you 30, he can do that. He rebounds pretty good for his size and also his age still. Now, the defense is not his calling card, right? That is not what he does. But he can play positional defense, and he can be where he needs to be within the defensive scheme. You have Malik Monk. Now, Malik Monk might be the one piece that a lot of people want. A lot of people love an energizer 6-man off the bench who can explode for 35 at any given point. And Malik Monk can do that for you. He might be the one piece that you can get multiple things for, i.e. picks and young players or whatever the case may be. The person that I think will be hard to move is Sabonis, because you need to put him or place him in the exact right spot with the exact right team. because you're not building around Domantas Sabonis. What you're trying to do is put him in a situation where he can be additive. And those are hard to find because of what I said, right? The lack of rim protection that he provides, and then also the lack of outside shooting, that if you do move him to the 4 spot, even though he is such an offensive creator and gets you into great looks as an offense, it's hard because everybody's clogging the paint because we know what he is, and usually he's with another big that can't shoot either. Now, what do you have for his upside? Well, you own your first round pick next season. Congratulations. Congratulations on that. It is a good time to have that. We got some good dudes coming out. From the Fox trade, you get a 2031 unprotected pick from the Minnesota Timberwolves and 5 second rounders to add to your war chest of stuff that you're going to need. Perry's stated approach to use this season as an evaluation year then makes moves that fit his sustainable vision and not quick fixes. The core business question is, do you chase short-term credibility or with this vet group, or treat it as a future trade chip around the younger core? That's exactly what you do. You're looking at Keegan Murray. You're looking at my guy. I love Neek. That's my dude. I want him to do well, and I like Devin Carter. So I'm not looking at this and going, hey, let's go ahead and try to build around Domantas Sabonis and see if we can strike lightning in a bottle who, you know, with somebody who's like not happy where they are. And here's the other thing that Sacramento needs to understand. They're never going to be a destination. They're never going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. And I know y'all hate that. I know y'all hate that. Okay? Don't hate us because we live in La La. Don't hate us because we are the entertainment capital of the world. This is where all the IG models come to play. Don't hate us for that. It is what it is. So if you know that you are a mid-level market or whatever the case, or even a small market, you need to act accordingly to what you are. And you are a small market. Understand that. Be that. Embrace that. What can you get for Zach LaVine? What can you get for DeMar DeRozan? Those are the type of things that Scott Perry should be having conversations about. How quickly can you get Sabonis back to see what his value is going to be? And who is the team that would pull the trigger on Domantas Sabonis? Another guy who you might be able to trade is Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder has been a good vet for the last 4 years. He's been a good soldier wherever he's gone over the last 4 years. Right now, he's only shooting 39.6% from field goal total, and his true shooting percentage is .495. Terrible. This is below average efficiency, and he got to pick it up. Now, you could sit there and spin this a different way. You could say, hey, we got Zach LaVine, we got DeMar DeRozan, you know what I'm saying, and Dennis Schroeder, who normally is a guy who can inject energy into a group, just got to a group to where he couldn't inject his energy into. But his last other stops might be a template of things to come if he was traded. So those are the things that you have to kind of prioritize, and those are the talking points that you need to throw out into the universe. When you talk about Zach LaVine, you talk about his three-point shooting. You talk about his athleticism. You stay away from defense, and you stay away from usage rate, and you stay away from assist percentages. Those are the things you stay away from. But you hone in on, if you need a three-point shooter for spacing, Zach LaVine is your guy. You can also say, for somebody who's 30 years old and has some injury history, he's still pretty damn athletic. That means he can yak at the rim if given the chance. If he was on the second side or on the weak side of the offensive possession, and you had pretty good creators around him, Oh, he would eat large in that role. The thing about it is that we know about Zach LaVine is that he has never wanted to be in that role. So he would have to go to a team that would almost force him to be in that role. Like, hey, bro, I don't know what you think this is, but you're not that guy. You're not a number 2 for us. You're barely a number 3 for us because we got a young guy coming or whatever the case may be. I don't know what that scenario is. I don't know what fit is out there for our guy Zach LaVine, but that is the type of guy that you have to go ahead and say, hey, this is where we are. Now, I'll tell you a team that might be in that zone for him, and it is the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, I'm not saying the Clippers are interested in Zach LaVine, but they do need a scorer because they just lost a UCLA guy. They traded him away to the Miami Heat, Norman Powell. So if you want to replace one UCLA guy with another UCLA guy and say, hey, listen, you are our 3rd to 4th option at best. You do understand that Kawhi Leonard is on this team. You do understand that James Harden is on this team, and we have a stud at center in Ivica Zubac. Now, if he decides, he looks around, says, I'm in Los Angeles, I love being here, I went to UCLA, and I am going to love it in LA. For sure, because it's not Sacramento. No offense, Sacramento. That wasn't a shot at you. I'm just saying what Zach LaVine might say. If he decides that he can go ahead and accept the role that is given to him, you might be able to see the best out of LaVine. And these are the things that Scott Perry need to be telling these GMs. Because here's the thing. Here is what you need to worry yourself about. Is Keegan Murray a guy or not? He's had so many people around him. You're giving lots of opportunities to Domantas Sabonis. You're giving lots of opportunities to De'Aaron Fox, who's no longer there. Now you got Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, who suck up all the possessions. Keegan Murray you need to figure out if Keegan Murray's a guy. Also, Keon Ellis. Now, Keon Ellis, I would love to keep if I was you guys, right? But if for some reason you can get good draft asset value for him, go ahead and trade him. Because he's a really good point of attack defender. He can shoot the 3 at a really respectable rate as far as on low sample size. And I think that's the type of guy that would be valued around the league, and you might be getting some low key interesting things back for him. The other guy is Nick Clifford. Okay, you are building around Nick Clifford, and you're saying to yourself, I don't know if Nick Clifford is a guy. We don't give a shit whether Nick Clifford is a guy. What we do know about him is that he's a solid player. He's a solid rebounder. He's a connective piece. He can shoot the 3. He's got a lot of tools. And for whatever the next iteration you're going to be, young, cheap talent is something that you absolutely need. You need to get out of the business of older vets that are super expensive, and Nick Clifford is one of your brighter lights that you have on the squad. Now, you want to talk about who's going to stir the pot for this team? Well, that's Doug Christie, former King from the early 2000 glory days, and now he's in the second year head coach. Perry's assessment calling Doug passionate, emotional, and has natural leadership qualities and a deep love for this franchise. Well, he does. He acknowledges Doug is learning on the job as a second-year head coach. Big learning curve. Christie's harsh realities in the press conference before the Nuggets game. He showed frustration and urgency, but he's not delusional. And this is the quote that I loved with Scott Perry. He said, we're not where we want to be. We haven't shown the identity necessary to create a sustainable winner. That's being honest. I'm glad that somebody's finally being honest out there. Where does this all leave us? I'll tell you exactly where this leads us. It leads us here. This is where we land with the Kings. Strip away all the nostalgia and the 2002 conspiracy theories, and the beam memes and whatever the case may be, and just look at what is in front of you. It's a 5-13 team. Okay, you got a lot of vets on this team, like DeMar DeRozan, who's giving you 18.7 points per game. His true shooting percentage is .601. Zach LaVine is around 20.5 a night with a true shooting percentage of 63.2. We're at the zenith of their value at this point. Now, do they have flaws and do they have warts? Absolutely. But this is the zenith of their value, and you need to get whatever it is that you can. So can you get a second draft guy? Can you get younger? Can you get more, maybe like lower level first round picks? Can you get maybe some second round picks to add to your coffers? It's not going to be a haul. It's not going to be a very, very attractive haul. Okay? You got two dudes in your thing that you can definitely trade for hauls. Right? And one of them is hurt. And again, I will say to you, the one that's hurt, he's got to go to a specific situation for it to all work. I do have a team that I'm very intrigued by. I don't want to give it away for a second, but give me a second. Malik Monk is also another guy that is a real shooter. But you're building this around Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis, and Nick Clifford. I don't know what you're going to get out of Max Renault. I have no idea. But he's 7'2". He's young, and hopefully there's some promise and some uptick ability going on there. Your Scott Perry's mission, if he chooses to accept it, is can he sell Zach LaVine? I think that he would be able to get off of DeMar DeRozan. And can he find a way? And this is where we get into trades and whatever the case may be. You already went to the well with San Antonio once. Is there a way where you could go ahead and trade Domantas Sabonis to the San Antonio Spurs? Now, he doesn't really fit the timeline personally, but you see they already have De'Aaron Fox there. He kind of not necessarily fits the timeline either. But the one thing that Domantas Sabonis does there is that he provides a toughness next to Victor Wembanyama that they don't necessarily have, right? He's an undersized center, which if Victor is hell-bent on shooting threes or whatever the case may be and just being a freak of nature, he is your rim protector, where then Domantas Sabonis is not going to look like an absolute sore thumb. He's not going to stand out, and he's not going to embarrass you. But what he is going to do is get you into great offensive sets. He also has a synergy with De'Aaron Fox if you decide to keep him long term or even short term. You can continue to increase the value of what De'Aaron Fox is and what that entity is going to be. So, what can you get back for Domantas Sabonis in that deal? Well, you're looking at like Keldon Johnson. You're also maybe looking at the contract of Harrison Barnes. I understand, Sacramento, that's not what you want, but guess what? You need to take that shit back. Can you get a first round pick? You know, is there another first round pick that you can get? Yeah. But this is the type of place where Domantas Sabonis could thrive in. Like, yeah, Phoenix will probably love him too, but the problem is they don't have another center who is a rim protector who can also shoot the three. Okay, Avisa Zubac is not that guy in Los Angeles with the Clippers, so you know you don't have that. Right? Domantas Sabonis in Golden State sounds great. They already have a guy who does all the things that he does and also doesn't shoot from the outside. His name is Draymond Green. So it's a specific fit on where Domantas Sabonis needs to go. And I'm trying to tell you that you need to go back to the well and talk to the San Antonio Spurs and see what the hell you can do. Because here's the thing. They might want to accelerate their window. I'm not saying they are looking to do that. I'm just saying they might. But you got to have those talks. You got to have those talks. So, where does this leave us? We got a couple more things that we need to get to, and I'm actually kind of excited about this one. It wasn't long ago that Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies were the darlings of the league. They were loud, they were brash upstarts out of Memphis, Tennessee. The new age, what want all the smoke version of the franchise that used to wear grit and grind like armor. This is the name of the building that made its name on Mike Conley, Mark Gasol, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, and that crew. That group earned respect by playing through pain, winning ugly, and backing up every word. Something bloody on the scouting report. Ja's version, he tried to inherit the respect without walking the same road. Fast forward to right now. Ja's 26, and instead of talking to us with his play, he's back in the headlines in street clothes, arguing with Klay Thompson in the tunnel. Klay's line after the game was brutal and accurate all at the same time. He said, they asked him, what did Ja say to him? He said, nothing of intelligent depth. He was out there running his mouth. He's been running his mouth for a long time. It's funny, you run your mouth when you're on the bench. It's kind of the story of his career so far, leaving us wanting more. Leaving us wanting more. That is what Klay Thompson, the 4-time champ, one of the greatest shooters ever, basically is telling you. You're a lot of talk and not enough tape right now, my guy. Yo, Klay Thompson sunned this dude. He sunned him. And guess what? He's not wrong. There's nothing he said that you can't. There's nothing fraudulent. He told no lies in that statement. Because here's the thing. The receipts are here. It's not working. Ja won Rookie of the Year in 2020. He put up 17.8 points a game and 7.3 assists on 47.7% shooting as a 20-year-old. And by the year 3, he had exploded to 27.4 points a game and 6.7 assists. He was all NBA second team guy and top 7 in MVP with a 24.4 PER and a true shooting percentage of .575. He followed that up with a 26.2 per game scoring average and 8.1 assists the next year and another top 12 MVP finish. And it looked like the future face of the league was here. Okay? It did. Now, since then, it's been everything but basketball. 25 game suspension that happened a couple years back. Flashing a gun on social. Another suspension this last season for he threw up like gun fingers or whatever. Like, clearly you didn't read the room. Like, you were in trouble for having brandishing guns on social media. You can't be sitting out here doing like shotgun paraphernalia
or antics on the court. This season, my man has been suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. And now he has a right calf strain, keeping him out again. Over the last 3 seasons, he's played in 71 games total. This year, he's at 17.9 points a game on 35.9% shooting from the field and 16.7% from 3. It's the lowest PER of his career, which is 12.7, and he's shooting a true shooting percentage, which is absolutely god awful, which is .77. This is the least efficient version of Ja since he walked in the door. The advanced metrics that used to scream superstar now have him underwater with a negative box plus minus. So when Ja pops into his teammates post-game interview and says, "Tell him who's the best shooter in the house," and it wasn't that bro from Golden State, and he's not even in uniform, that's not trash talk, dog. That's a player who has become a caricature of his own brand. Clay even drew the line between the era and said, "I do actually have a lot of respect for the Grindhouse. Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol. That was a hard team to beat. This new team, though, they just talk a lot. They always talk a lot. They never really back it up, though." This is Clay. Clay, one of the more reserved dudes in the league, just tearing you down. Now, respect in this league is rented. It's not inherited. You don't get it. You don't get the same reverence as Conley and Zebo just because you share the building. You earn it by giving the game your availability and your focus. Ja hasn't played more than 65 games since his rookie year. That was 67, by the way. He played in 67 games his rookie year, and then he has not touched 65. He's missed a third of the season this season. Now, we're only 18 games into the season, so you do the math. He played 18. He's missed 6. That's 33% of the games he's missed. But that's a trend, though. That's a trend. The numbers in the games played, the suspensions, and says it all, right? You're not the Grim Reaper of the West right now. You're a storyline in street clothes. And at this point, brass should be the last word in his repertoire. The only acceptable energy is bunker mentality. I've embarrassed myself. I've let my team down, and when I get back, I'm standing on business and reminding this league who I actually am. That's the kind of shit I want to hear from Ja. That's the kind of stuff I want to hear. I do not want to hear all this, "Oh, Klay Thompson's a bum." Oh, by the way, that dude, that bum, got 4 rings, bro. 4 of them. You don't even have, like, Western Conference Finals appearance. Think about that. Ja Morant, who has signature shoes by Nike, right? He has incredible highlights in his early days. Cock back dunks on people. All of it. All of it. Do you know this kid got talent? Everybody sees it. But all we get is rhetoric. All we get is all this bluster. That's all we get from this kid. He's getting a max deal right now, and he ain't living up to it. The early years justified it. We talked about the Rookie of the Year. We talked about the All-NBA second team. We talked about we didn't talk about the Most Improved Player. The top 7 MVP finish in 2021, 2022. At his peak, He was 27.4 points per game, 6.7 assists, almost shooting 50% from the field at that point in time. Real superstar production type stuff. He followed up that season with 26.2 points per game, with 8.1 assists and a 23.3 PER, and a little less version of true shooting percentage, but we still was kind of like, well, Ja's dope, which was .557. The problem is, again, when are you gonna play 65 games? By the way, that's the standards for you to reach all these regular season awards and what have you. Like, your shooting is terrible right now. And you can tell me all the things you want to tell me. Well, he is clearly upset in Memphis and he wants to be moved and all this. Well, guess what? Nobody's going to want somebody who's shooting 16.7% from 3. Nah. That's not happening. Now, stylistic strength, he still has an elite first step. He can live in the paint if he wants. He's an actual lob threat, and also then creates lobs for his bigs because of the pressure that he can put on the rim. He has high assist rates throughout his career, which he is at 36.4%. He's still drawing fouls. His free throw rate is at 35.4%. Shooting 5.8 free throw attempts a game. 94.2% free throw line, which is great. Now, the athleticism is still there. The rhythm efficiency and the decision making have regressed, and the gap between Ja and the brand and Ja, the box score, has never been wider. So you want to live up to the Conley, Gasol, Zebo, Tony Allen group, right? If you got Klay Thompson out here talking about you running your mouth, and it's funny you run your mouth when you're on the bench, and that's a story of your career, leaving us wanting more, meaning him. Meaning Klay is saying, yo, bro, I thought you were going to be better than this, and I'm just disappointed. Klay sounding like a TV father over here. I'm just disappointed. I thought you were going to give us years of Sports Center dunks and stuff like that, but here you are sitting on the bench doing absolutely nothing again. And if you want to trade, these numbers that we're seeing are disturbing. Now, let's talk about the front office. I'm going to tell you right now, they saw Ja as a franchise killer. That's why they gave him the max money. Now, if you're looking at him right now, I know that as quiet as kept, Zach Kleiman and the boys in Memphis right now are sitting there going like, what are we going to do? Because right now, if you trade him right now, I know he's a name. I understand that people are going to sit here and say, well, it's John Morant. But I'm going to tell you right now, these teams are cutthroat. They're going to look at him and be like, we'll give you a protected first round pick, maybe a pick swap, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll give you some contracts that are, suspect to say the least. You're not getting the plum prospects. You're not getting maybe a dude that has been kind of buried on the bench, but your scouts have done like all the video work and they're saying like, yo, if we get him, if we can acquire this guy right here, he's going to help us. This is not what you're getting. You're getting basically the poo-poo platter of the team that you trade him to. First, you rebuild the trust and the structure around him. Better support, clearer boundaries, and you hold the line accountability. Okay? Hey, bro, we need you to play basketball. We need you to be about this hoop life and not the thug life that you're trying to be about. Okay? That's the first thing that we need to talk about. Second thing is this. Stress test on Ja timeline. Keep evaluating whether his habits and the health justify staying fully tethered to him. Here's the thing. What we're trying to do is get you to play basketball. All right, we are trying to get you to play basketball so we can build up your trade value, so we can get you up out of here. Now, the other thing is this: is that he has a lot of the pieces around him that make him successful. Zach Edey is a 7'4" mountain of a man. He can set picks for Ja, and then Ja can get to the rim. Now, your shooting, your spacing has been compromised because at some point, Zach Kleiman and the bros in Memphis were going to pull the plug. And they traded Desmond Bane to Orlando and got 4 first-round picks, the whole deal. You are going to have to create spacing. So, whoever it is that's on that bench, I don't know if it's G.G. Jackson. I know, Jaren Jackson Jr. can shoot it from the outside. You are going to have to put shooters around Ja. It might not work with your system completely that you are building right now, but we are trying to build trade value for Ja. Because this 17.9 points per game and this 35.9 field goal percentage, this is terrible. The 16.7% from 3 is god-awful. This is not tradable. Unless you want absolutely nothing back. And you're just like, we'll make our stand in the lottery. So Ja Morant in Memphis, basically it's a question mark. On paper, this is still one of the most gifted guards we got in the league. But his performance over the last couple years is alarming. And the regression is so real right now that he has no trade value whatsoever. And that's when he is suiting up. Right now, he's not even suiting up because of the cap strain. So, Klay Thompson voicing what a lot of veterans are thinking was a turning point. Again, talking about running his mouth for a long time. Again, talking about you're on the bench a lot. You're leaving a lot of us who love basketball kind of in a lurch right now. Leaving us wanting more. Then the second punch. This new team, though, they just talk a lot. They're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. That's Ja. Ja is that guy. They're not talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. They're definitely not talking about Zach Edey. They're talking about Ja Morant and Ja Morant only. Klay Thompson won 4 titles. Against the old grit and grind Grizzlies in a playoff series that we know what it looks like, right? It was awesome. The path back is still here. It's not complicated. Even if it's hard, he has to stack seasons where the most controversial thing about him is his box score. Is he playing 70 plus games or close to 70 games? Is he back near 24 to 26 points a game on real efficiency, and the assist rates and the rim pressure that he provides most of the time is back in line with his prime? And no headlines involving suspension or detrimental conduct to the team. He's got to act like a professional. He's got to act like the things that Klay talked about. When you're a star, it comes with great responsibility. We hate to see that go to waste, but here we are. And you can tell me, hey, if you move him to the right team, all of this will be forgotten and whatever the case may be. But here's the thing. You take you with you, and I know this for a fact. I am now almost 9 years sober, right? And I don't want any awards for that. No, I don't need any claps for that or anything like that. I spent 30 years of being a shithead. I drank, I lied, I cheated, I was devious, I was a deceitful person. I was just not somebody that you should have been around. But I now carry that every single day, and I try to use that impact for good now. Like, I am trusted. People can count on my word. People can rely on me. I am a pleasure to be around now. I have a pretty good damn work ethic. Put in the time. Put in the grind. And I don't ask for anything to be fucking handed to me. You don't have to give me anything. But it takes every day. And it takes one step at a time every single day. It's not going to be rebuilt overnight, my guy. You have now set a precedent. You have now have a book on you. You know, whether you want to call this a couple chapters or not. We haven't seen anything else but this. So you need to walk this down. You need to walk this down. So then there's more positive days than there are negative days. And there's a absolute way for you to get back. But it's going to take you. So whether you trade him to Miami, or you trade him to Toronto, or you trade him, God forbid, you trade him to Sacramento, Ja is still going with Ja. Unless Ja changes. So, y'all got to just take that, understand that, and what have you. So, I'm going to hold off this last piece because you know what? We about 1:30. You know what I'm saying? We about 1:30 in. And I'm going to hold this last piece to Friday because I think it's awesome what it is, and we'll update the numbers to make sure like everything is still relevant, whatever the case may be. So, let me go ahead and say this for you guys. Thank you again for the people who are downloading the podcast. Remember to follow and download the podcast. We need it. We want it. And we want you to want to be with us. FRPC. Trust and believe that. Alright? The second thing is this. Join us on social media. At FrontRunnerPC and at socially_FRPC. Okay, that's where you get us. Give us suggestions for shows. Hey, you're not talking about our team enough, whatever the case may be. Also, if there's something from the podcast that you liked, hit us up. You know, if you like the Ja Morant rant, put that in the subject line and send it off to us. Also, you can get us on email. FRPCVince, VINCE, @gmail.com. That's where you get us, and we will go ahead and if the lines are good, we'll put it on the air, my guy or girl. We'll put you on the air for sure. Shout you out, all that. So with that being said, let's do this. First of all, I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy good eats, good conversation, and hopefully you're getting back in touch with people that you hadn't talked to in a second. So enjoy your time. Appreciate your time with your family. I hope everybody has a good one and also have a safe one. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to leave you with this. The best part of you is you. It's still you. It's not your record and it's not your feed. It's you. Surround yourself with people who give you light, insight, joy, and accountability. That is your real max deal. Appreciate them out loud. Don't wait for later that nobody has promised you. So make sure that you are FaceTiming people. Make sure you're texting people. Make sure, we're going to get some FaceTime with some people. For real. This week, this weekend. You know what I'm saying? You're going to watch a lot of football together. Put your hand on that person's shoulder and say, hey, man, it's been a while. I haven't seen you. How's everything going? Let them know how much they've impacted your life in such a positive way or whatever the case may be. Reconnect with those who have given you some positivity in your life. And if you're still looking for your hoop family, well, you got one here with us at FRPC. We joke, we overact, we get loud, but we respect your brain. Thoughts over takes every single time. And remember, anyone can yell a take, but very few can defend a thought. Until next time, keep your mind sharp, your heart open, and your circle tight. And remember to protect your peace like cap space and never waste it or bad basketball or bad energy. I'm your host, Vince. And again, happy Thanksgiving to those who are going to celebrate it. Enjoy the turkey. Enjoy all the fixings around it. Enjoy your family. And we will see you back on this feed on Friday. Deuces, we out.